Saying good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio. It's Monday, the 16th day of September, 2024. Welcome, those of you listening and viewing once again. It's a beautiful morning, I would say. Kind of morning that I certainly like, if I could put it in that way. Those of you from, of course, our social media, or of course, that's the Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning and welcome. To the point, I'm your host, GT. Let me say good morning to Mr. Sylvan McIntyre. Good morning to you, sir. Nice to have you back on a Monday morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, GT. And let me take the opportunity to say good morning to all our listeners, our followers, our viewers, our supporters, our well-wishers. It's really a great time to be on a Monday morning. We start your week right.
Yep.
And hopefully we keep the focus on safety, because that's what we are about.
Safety.
We are the preachers?
Yeah. You want to say that? Sometimes there are titles that you don't want to grab on.
Oh, right, but people keep saying sometimes you preach to the converted, and sometimes people also use this biblical quote, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, like you keep speaking, I just like you alone, and maybe you don't know who's going to hear you. But even in the
I understand where you're coming from, but sometimes, sometimes you want to distance yourself from them kind of titles for some reason.
You don't want to be a preacher.
Not that I don't want to,
like
but
to be preaching. Yeah, that was a nice.
There's always those kind of beating on your back that you don't want to take.
Yeah. So they think the preachers
nothing wrong with it.
You think the preachers get a lot of licks?
They are.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hear the comments that have been thrown out
about preachers,
and you're wondering, it takes a strong individual wanting to have a title of that nature.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is that to each his own. Everything has its people. Each and every one were born with a purpose in life,
I agree.
And we actually were born with particular gifts that we need to find and exploit. And I think this is what life is about. And people have gone through life not sometimes discovering their full and true self, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But
the opportunity just never presented itself for them.
Sometimes the opportunity presented itself, but they never grabbed it. They never went to it.
That's another thing.
And opportunity sometimes come lost, you never regain it.
Yeah.
And some people miss a lot in life. But the positive thing is that wherever you are, you just have to think and know that there's a purpose in life for everyone, and you should try to find it and fulfill it. So those who think that they lost it, there are other aspects that you can actually regain.
Preach it.
That's a really nice way to start our program this morning, in terms of getting the messages across.
So true.
So the weekend.
Yeah. How was your weekend, sir?
My weekend, they were always great times. I understand now when it's a Saturday and when it's a Sunday, because you structure into a program.
Yeah.
But my weekend was still the kind of a mixture of blending with nature, looking out for the safety issues, and meeting the people that, would still give you the encouragement and would give you the ideas in terms of things that they think we need to focus on. And within the last week, there were a few things that happened nice, and there was a few unfortunate things that happened. Mm-hmm. We recognize we had maybe killings.
Yes.
I think there was a shooting someplace.
And there was
stabbing.
There was a stabbing.
And over some alleged land dispute.
Yep.
And over the last couple, I think it was Wednesday or Friday evening, I went to one of the churches in Mardi Gras to have spoken to some young persons. And hello, Mardi Gras, good morning to you and the lady who already orchestrated that. Some youth in terms of speaking to them about violence and drug use, etc. Mm-hmm. And I use the experience to say that oftentimes when people are under the influence of substances or circumstances, they don't always make the best decision. Okay. And there were really young children that I was speaking to, and I said to them, well, look, sometimes you have altercations, you lose your temper, and you end up regretting it afterwards. And I said, this alleged situation where this gentleman lost his life over maybe quarrel over a parcel of land, I asked the youngsters, have you ever seen a portion of land in a coffin?
I always hear folks use that particular terminology, and sometimes you wonder about it. Why people get into confrontation for that particular reason?
I said you don't go with the land. You see, we see in a coffin.
It's been happening for eons. This is nothing new, eh?
Yeah, it is.
You hear it happens around family, with neighbors, and all of these things happen.
Yeah,
and there's nothing new that is happening. Folks always quarrel for that particular.
From ever since olden days, people have been having disputes, but we who have the knowledge and information to guide people through it to be able to minimize that, it is critical. So as I told him, you need to find different ways and reflect on whether or not that decision or losing your temper in that kind of a way may have some regrets if that what it.
So now I wonder if it makes a big difference in your life. In your life in general, having that confrontation for that particular plot of land, does it make a significant difference?
Confrontation in general, you look at it as to whether or not it makes sense. Because as I was driving over the weekend, I met some people. Even last evening, this gentleman, there was a 3-day funeral thing in that Balthazar up there. Mm-hmm. My condolences to the George family and so forth. And I was driving, and this gentleman, I stopped. He was in front of me. He reversed. I was reversing to give him space. And the gentleman came out very aggressively, insulted me with obscene language, and I was just looking at him. Where is this coming from? And the other people on the roadside, they was like, really? And a guy pushed his hand to the window and tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, yeah, stay calm, Mr. McIntyre, stay calm. And I was like, does it really make sense then that I confront him aggressively and throw back the same words to him? And so,
there was a time in my life I used to have that attitude.
Yeah.
Someone will tell you something that kind of rage that you would say, when you drive.
Yeah.
And maybe the last couple of years, I just get to a point in my life where it doesn't really matter anymore.
It doesn't really matter.
You're driving, folks are being, disrespectful, or folks telling you something, and I just let it pass.
Yeah.
And sometimes it got into a stage with me where it just no longer bothers me for some reason.
Yeah.
It took me a while to discipline myself to that, because once someone say something to me, I will get into that. I want to confront them about it.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to that stage where it doesn't matter anymore.
And people say as well, if you get into a useful argument with somebody and you're just looking at it, you try to figure out, well, who's the fool and who's the one that has the sense, because you can't tell the difference because both people are throwing at each other.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to maintain the advantage all the time by staying calm and taking a deep breath, and when they go low, you go high. So you try to avoid those situations. But it's so unfortunate that we speak about road safety, that there are so many persons who drive around, and unnecessarily there's this road rage situation that come out. And I think more and more as we speak on this program, this morning we're going to touch a little aspect
we'll talk about it some more.
How you actually try to control other people's attitude towards you in not creating a more unsafe situation on road. But as we expand on that, this morning we're going to be speaking a little bit more on the health implication in safety and so on. But as we speak about health, there is something I really want to remind our nation about. And not very often our health workers and our police officers, sometimes our teachers or general public servants, they're given the kind of accolades and respect that they should. Recently, we've had a situation where I think health came under a lot of fire. And I went to the hospital a couple of days ago, and docs and nurses, my hat's off to you guys for the tremendous job that you are doing. And they don't often get the praise and the recognition. And when something happened, we beat down on them.
Yeah, the negative situation. More.
And there was a situation, and I think sometimes we as citizens, we don't really look at the international impact and effect it can have on our own country. Because there were a few incidences that happened where maybe, unfortunately, some babies may have succumbed to injuries or otherwise, or to illnesses. And people have created, it's now almost becoming a stigma against the health sector and the nurses and doctors, as though the hospital is a butchering place and they kill people. You don't really want to do that. It is so heartening, because I spoke to the doctor. I saw some of the younger doctors that I knew and I met, who I helped, come through life and so on. And I have all the respect for them, and they give it their honest commitment. And sometimes you have situations where it happen unavoidably, and sometimes they are blamed for situations that people are not even aware of. And something they cannot come out and say to the public how it may have happened, because they owe it that sense of secrecy and that sense of dignity to not expose certain information. Yes. But people just generate their own feeling about a situation and they propagate it. And it's so unfair to the fraternity, the nursing and the doctors and so on. I want to let you know that we are in your corner. You have the support. Keep doing what you're doing. And so the disadvantage we can have, international and otherwise, like somebody said one time, they don't want to take their child to the hospital because they're killing children. Why do we want to do that? This is so devastating to our mindset, to other people who may want to think, and they say, but no, I may want to go. And they may hear it outside of Grenada that our hospital care and everything else, they are grossly understaffed in most cases, sometimes under-resourced, and they make do with what they have. And I think it is high time that even if some incidences may happen, and we're not quite aware of it, it is better for us to stay quiet on it, give them the encouragement, allow the investigation and the inquiry process to happen, and allow the authority to make the official, than we go creating a different negative image about our country. And that's only in the health. There are crime situations or offenses that may occur. And people make it, they sensationalize it through social media or otherwise. And the negative aspect of it, it impacts one of the industries that we depend on, tourism and everything else. And it makes you feel that Grenada have these kind of a crime, they're heinous and otherwise. And it is really not true. So sometimes
it's like third party and fifth party sources of information people are receiving
Yes.
most of the time.
Yes.
And they tendency to spread it more. And it's not the accurate information.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why sometimes where I have the problem with
Yes.
getting that third party information. It will be passed on to you and the information that you may have received, it may have been altered, you know, way down.
Yeah.
You know, way down, and then now you continue to spread it. And when you really find out the true fact about what the information is, it's totally
different. Totally different.
And then
totally
your
different.
version always seems to the one that individual will kind of gravitate to.
Yeah.
Because the negative stands out. Negativity always stands out for some reason more than the positive information.
Yes, it does.
And that's what it is. And we have sometimes the authority, I in my opinion, maybe I could be wrong, but sometimes we need that public information been spread about situations.
On
Sometimes
both fronts.
We don't hear what the real cause of it. I think sometimes it could be frank and come on and said X, Y, Z may have caused.
Yes.
After you may have informed the families and everything else that have been taken care of. These are the reasons.
Yeah.
So folks have the tendency to less go out and give in false information, not knowing the true circumstances of the nature of it.
And you're absolutely right, GT. No disregard or disrespect to the information authority, but I think there are times they are too slow in coming forward with certain things. We have to be a bit more aggressive and on point, knowing that people have access to all kind of things.
Yeah.
And the negative thing and the damage control is more difficult to retrieve than putting the right thing out quickly. So even from instances where there might be offenses or occurrences, the police could be a bit more on point to be able to confirm or not confirm. I think they're doing much better than they were.
Yeah.
But in terms of feeding people with something that they don't go propagating. Similar with health. There's so many issues and so on. And so while Kevin and others and the other guys, they're doing a fantastic job, but we believe when situations occur, without giving much because investigations and inquiry will be required, we should be able to be upfront. And when you give, don't allow a massive break in between before you say something again.
Yeah.
You should come in between and say, this is not a cool situation, we're working on it, X, Y, and Z, but unless the media people raise it, or some people start having negative thing about then somebody come out to say something. We have to go past that.
You know, sometimes you have to take the lead, you know, especially the authorities. Take the lead in terms of dispersing the information, the correct information that would just, sometimes it makes put individual minds at ease.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't consider it go beyond. That's what it is, and that's what it is.
Yeah. So we close here a little bit. That's
we come back with more. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. It's To The Point here for today, Monday. We'll be right back after the break. Don't touch it down.
As GBN brings you the thrilling coverage of this year's Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League, please note there will be some adjustments to our regular programming lineup. From Tuesday, September 17th to Friday, September 20th, transitions will be at 5:05 p.m. GBN Television News will air at 6 p.m., followed by a repeat right after the CPL match. And don't miss the rebroadcast of transitions after the news repeat. GBN, with you anywhere and everywhere with the best in sports coverage. Stay tuned and stay informed with GBN.
The Grenada Motor Club will be hosting its second and final international drag racing event for 2024 at Pearls International Speedway on September 28th and 29th. Expect the fastest set of drag cars and bikes the Caribbean has to offer. September 27th, meet and greet at Lavo Lanes. September 28th, test and tune bracket race qualifiers. And after drags, chill out at Sizzle Bar and Lounge. September 29th, drag race finals at Pearls International Speedway. There will be a special guest appearance by one of the Caribbean's top drag racers and a special drift performance by one of the Caribbean's top drifter. Mark the dates, September 28th and 29th at Pearls International Speedway is the place to be. You don't want to miss this one.
Welcome back. Welcome back once again, listeners, viewers out there, those of you by our social media platforms. Good morning, welcome. I see our conversation is stirring the phones early o'clock. But we're not going to entertain it as yet. I know folks who probably been hearing us speaking once a chiming, but we're not going to entertain the calls yet. There's going to be opportunity to be present itself when you do have the opportunity to call in and share your views and concern as it relates to the conversation this morning. Road safety is our pivotal conversation in this segment this morning.
Yes.
Mr. McIntyre, we continue to talk about road safety because Grenada roads has gotten to a stage where the safety of pedestrians, road users, whether you're walking, you're riding a bike, you're driving a car, it's of concern.
Yeah.
And we always have to be concerned about safety.
Right.
50 years ago, if I could go back that far, maybe it was not, I wouldn't say it was not a concern, but it was not at the magnitude.
Were you there 50 years ago?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, no problem. Don't give our listeners and so on.
Maybe I may not know what's going on 50 years ago, but
go ahead.
But I'm saying though,
yes,
the concern was minimal to a point in terms of road safety.
Right.
I remember having a conversation with someone the other day that I remember on Sundays I couldn't play football on the roads.
Okay.
You understand? And a car will pass every 45 minutes if there were a car that passed, especially on a Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't practically think about doing that on today's road today, even any day of the week.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So road safety now is pivotal. I'm not sure what the direction you want to push your conversation this morning in terms of our continuing, advocacy to encourage, drivers, road users in general.
Yeah.
The aspect of road safety. So I'll leave it up to you to bring us in the direction you want to go.
Absolutely. The inkling this morning is to expand a little bit on some of the health effects that followed from it in terms of keeping a focus on our roads. And the other aspect of it is also highlighting again some of the things that we need to improve. I don't think on any of our programs we're not going to touch on that. You will see later on that we have an image of a risk that it's looming over people's head in a place that they use. Yeah. And sometimes the bus stops, the pedestrian crossing, and the zebra crossing that we speak about so often, they are something that we downplay. But last week we spoke about the heat wave situation and how people need to rehydrate themselves properly to have that amount of fluid, liquid through the system to ensure the organs themselves are functioning properly. And as we said last week, sometimes people downplay that in terms of how they would intake water and fluids, etc., into the system. The other aspect that we tend not to pay much attention to is the ability to stay physically strong, involved in physical activities other than getting behind the wheels.
Yeah.
And we had a situation where there seems to have been a renaissance of fitness, where the fitness revolution came on, where the SSU fitness clubs came on across country, and a few clubs and people started doing a lot of street walking and all of these things.
Yeah.
That is important. What I would wish to see, that there's a lot more focus on people who sit in offices for very long and people who are required to be behind the wheels very long, or bus drivers, commute people, and so forth, taxi drivers and otherwise. These people who are on the street very often, and the goods delivery drivers and all these people, and even just the regular driver, the aspect of physical fitness should not be underplayed. Yeah. And you would hear the health officials speak about obesity in our children, and in some adults to a large extent, who've gotten themselves overweight. By and large, Grenada is not worse.
Yeah.
I've seen places where people are like butterballs and tubs and so on, and they're rolling around, which is no disrespect, but people allow themselves to become that way. Our structure here in Grenada, our topography, our road settings and everything else, by design, we are supposed to be fit people. But fitness in itself is not just being in an activity, but it's a discipline.
Yes.
And very often, people do not find that kind of a discipline. But physical fitness has its positive impact on everything, including driving, that somebody does. So how do we get that done? as you plan and do everything else, you make your day-to-day chores, you upgrade a journal or otherwise. Inside of that journal should be an aspect of physical activity. What do I do that I would be so physically involved? I've been a physical trainer for over 70% of my professional life, technically. An athlete as a young man growing up, and then as I entered the professional setting into the police, etc., and the medical response aspect of it, physical fitness became integrated into my own system. And I can tell you the positive impact coming out of that. When you either choose to do physical activity early in the morning, which is the preferred time of day for me personally,
yes,
there are much more health effects from the earlier. There's less pollution in the atmosphere because less vehicles and movements of people and things throughout. So if you are going to be doing an outdoor, the atmosphere itself is a lot more clean and fresh. And the higher altitudes outside of the urban areas and so forth, they are the better places to do physical activity. And so it does not take an entire 1 hour program of rigorous calisthenics or otherwise, or you go to the gym and pump a set of heavy iron and so on. It doesn't take all of that to be physically active. It takes in just a little bit of movement, sometime in and around your yard. In most places we have a driveway up a hill, so you go down and you're looking at me, GT.
I'm looking at him.
You're relating?
I'm relating.
So you go up and you go down a little bit. As you move around inside your chores for the people who are home based, as you move in and out your house, use not just one part of your body, but try to get all of them activated.
Right.
Activated. And the experts in physical fitness will also tell you, and I think in the whole biological construct, that swimming gives a balance in terms of activating almost all of your muscles and your bone structures that would get the entire body, get the tissues and everything cleared up, the veins and arteries and everything, get the heart pumping a bit, and that is critical. Now, when one involves themselves in physical activity, particularly at the earlier part of the day, what you do, you create an open atmosphere and environment to be more sharp, to be more in tune in what's happening, to be more alert on the road space, and to be more productive, feel less sluggish or otherwise in your office setting or in your professional setting. And I chose this aspect to speak about because it impacts very strongly on safety on our roads. We mentioned that before, that people do not spend enough rest time after long hours of activities generally. Yeah. And that is critical. We also spoke of in the past of the factors of when one feels that the body is fatigued or otherwise, or sometimes you feel drowsy, or you feel that it is better that you take that 5 minutes, be late for an engagement than you are absent permanently. And that is critical. So the aspect of physical fitness prepares one to be more alert. It sharpens you. I remember having to do the training for recruits for many, many, many years, from the 1980s all up to 2000s plus. At 5 a.m. every day religiously, you are involved in physical activity. And in military's most regimented structures, they'll do a lot of physical activities in the morning, except that there are some fixed things that drive you into doing it later into the day, or you have indoors. So my word of advice and encouragement to people in general, and to motorists, people who are going to be behind the wheel, or even if you're a pedestrian, rather than coming out there being very sluggish or otherwise, if you get physically involved, it helps you to be more observant, it helps you to be more vigilant, and you will pick up the things that would present a risk or a hazard to you as you move around. So let us take a different step in safety, in road safety, and ensuring that the things that we do around us and the people around us and the instruments and machinery that we are responsible for, that we are physically capable, our mind is mentally alert, we're physically feeling the vibes, and that we are able to look out for those who might not be looking out for us.
If I could ask a question, Mr. Wright, sometimes we see folks mental and health conditions is it one of the factors we see a lot of incidents occurring on the road today? For example, I notice sometimes even students where they will take a bus to drop them from point B to point A, which is less than 20 minutes walk. You understand? We as adults sometimes we prefer to take a bus to drop from point A to point B, which is less than a 10 minutes walk.
Yes.
I have seen it from sometimes. Everything we do, we feel we gotta jump into the car to go there.
Okay.
I know of someone who lives less than 10 minutes from a supermarket, but will drive to there.
Okay.
You understand? Are those factors sometimes contribute to, of course, our poor driving habits? One, in terms of our health condition. No, as you mentioned, you're not being physically active enough.
Yeah.
You understand? And the opportunities when it presents itself for you to be physically active, you choose to drive.
Right.
You understand?
Exactly.
Are those conditions are it causing the deterioration in terms of we see the people's health-wise in terms of driving and so forth?
You are on point. Especially as people, there are a lot of people now, I call them young retirees, because their physical structure appear that way. And there are other persons who, by reason of age or otherwise, happen to go into retirement. And your muscle depends on activities to keep its strength. And when muscles are not activated and utilized consistently, it weakens, it becomes weaker. And so walking or exercising the lower extremity or the lower torso from the waist downward, that is critical. A lot of drivers and a lot of people sit in offices, so that lower level isn't getting that amount of activities. And sometimes you see people try to get up and because that the lower part of your body where you have the larger bones, etc., and the larger muscles, they need to be kept strong. And if you're going to be driving a vehicle, apart from the mental alertness that one would have, the physical strength in the lower extremity is really critical. And activities like physical activities will help you to do that. So if you're sitting in an office all day, or you're a taxi person, a bus driver otherwise, and you're just sitting in that vehicle, you're extending your abdomen, your tummy is going to come starting to overlap over the lower extremity. And then the lower extremity, like legs.
I don't know why.
I don't know if I looked at you. But walking and getting the lower part of your body exercise is really critical. So when you get into a vehicle, your legs don't go shaking or otherwise, and your hand don't go shaking otherwise, because you generate that strength through the activities that you do. So you are able to have greater control. You are able to maneuver that vehicle more effective. You are able to stand up and get in and out of that vehicle more effective. You create less congestion, and it helps you to be stronger and a lot more focused. So the physical activity, the physical fitness of an individual is critical to overall safety. So people, don't think that when you are involved in physical activity, despite me saying it is a discipline, that you're only doing yourself a favor. You're also doing the pedestrian and other motoring aspect of the public a service, because if you are alert, you are protecting me just as well as you're protecting yourself. So we can't be that selfish and say that I'm not going to be doing physical activities. You have to be.
You have to be. I understand. Can you say, being physically active, it also helps your mental alertness?
Yes, it does.
You understand? By doing that help. So it also plays a part in terms of when you're driving along on the nation road and stuff. Because of that discipline that you have created, it helps you to in your overall use of the maneuver the vehicle and just creating that mental alertness that you certainly will need.
And as I started saying earlier on, it will not come as easy as Sylvan McIntyre is saying it, because it is, in most cases, easier said than done. Because if it is a discipline, you will have to find the place to make it a discipline. And one way of doing it, one way of getting used to it, to make it regimented, is to include it in what your activities are supposed to be. And one of the reasons why people find themselves less productive, a 24-hour day seems to be like 20 or 19, because you do not factor in a schedule or make an agenda to make the things happen. Yeah. If physical activities for half an hour or 45 minutes, an hour, is integrated in your agenda, in your program, you'll realize, you're getting much more out of that day.
Yes.
Because your output level will change.
Will certainly increase.
Definitely will increase. Mm-hmm. The quality of your products will increase. Yeah. Your boss will become, if you're not one, your boss will become more happy with you.
Your efficiency in general.
Your efficiency will increase. Yeah. And so while we are speaking about road safety in general, I wanted to really drive it home that you owe it to us, pedestrians, drivers, for you to be physically fit to control what could become a weapon of mass destruction.
Yes.
A vehicle.
Yeah.
And that's not an understatement.
Just that physical ability of you as an individual.
That physical.
We're not saying it's going to be perfect always.
Right.
But to minimize most of it, your physical ability also plays an important role.
And then the other angle. We do
for a break. We do for a break, but just make that statement and then we take a break.
The other angle would be to complement that would be dieting.
Dieting.
So we want dieting to complement the physical activities to ensure that we increase our road safety because it will help us to be in better control of ourselves.
You don't want to fill your stomach and go drive, right?
Well, you want to do that because it may require some energy to stay.
Well, you do, but we don't want to the overeating factor comes in when then you want to go drive and stuff like that.
And
it will impair whatever you're doing properly.
Absolutely, and there are adjustments on those steerings.
Yeah,
and you don't want an overlap to go too far to lock the steering while you're.
I'm fine. You're looking at me a lot. I know. Anyway, we do for a break.
Not you.
We do for a break. We're coming back in the next segment. We have another crucial segment when we come back with some Mac.
Yes.
We have some videos and so on.
We want to talk about that.
Chit-chat about that when we come back.
Absolutely.
All right? Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back after the break. Don't touch it down.
It's the event you won't want to miss. GIDC Business Deals Day is happening on Saturday, October 12th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Frequenty Industrial Park playing field. Explore the latest products and service offerings from businesses within the industrial parks. Enjoy discounts on GIDC business support services and get fantastic deals on household items, building materials, accessories, condiments, and more with exciting prizes up for grabs throughout the day. But that's not all. Dive into a mini health fair and career expo for valuable health education and employment opportunities, all while enjoying the sounds of Trio the Band and DJ Graphic Sounds. It will be a fun-filled day filled with eats, drinks, games, deals, and more. Mark your calendars and join the GIDC at Frequenty Industrial Park playing field on Saturday, October 12th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. See you there.
As GBN brings you the thrilling coverage of this year's Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League, please note there will be some adjustments to our regular programming lineup. From Tuesday, September 17th to Friday, September 20th, transitions will be at 5:05 p.m. GBN television news will air at 6 p.m., followed by a repeat right after the CPL match. And don't miss the rebroadcast of transitions after the news repeat. GBN with you anywhere and everywhere with the best in sports coverage. Stay tuned and stay informed with
Welcome back, listeners and our viewers. This morning, once again, it's to the point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. And myself and Mr. McIntyre, we were having that off-air conversation. Interesting as always. I'm seeing the phones are going, but in the next segment, we're of course going to entertain your phone calls for a wee bit. I know that I'm seeing lots of you trying to chime in this morning. Seems to be an interesting conversation that you want to be part of. We do have some videos and still pictures that we want to feature this morning, and of course Mr. McIntyre took the time out to of course take the time to do his little bit of photography when we get the time to do so. And we're going to put up, Master Control is going to put up, and Mr. Mac is going to talk because the health, as we focus a lot on health and safety this morning, safety is also a critical part in other aspects.
Of course.
You understand?
Yes.
You know, there are road users who are folks who are using donation roads and other components that involve us being on the road.
Yes.
The health factor of it is also crucial, and the safety measures that in it is also crucial.
Right.
So, Master Control, if you could always throw that video up for us, or the still if you can, and we could, of course, comment on it as we go along this morning.
So it's a collective package, and
Yeah.
it is comprehensive in nature. This photo on screen, it is a bus stop.
Yeah.
And that's a place, unfortunately, there were no people in it when I took that photo. But you can see that effect from
Hurricane
Beryl, where that tree came down. I think there was a caller who mentioned that in the past.
Yeah.
This tree is on top of the bus stop, as it is now. And that picture is as recent as of Saturday or Sunday, I think it was, on top of that bus stop.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are quite a number of issues relating to that bus stop. One, the safety factor for those people who are using it. Is a heavy portion of tree that is still resting on that.
Yeah.
It can come in further at any time.
Yeah.
These other factors, where are those of us who are responsible for maintaining that aspect of our bus stops and our road signs, etc.? And the third factor, where is our sense of community? Do you think you need the government to move this? Do you think you need Ministry of Works? Do you think you need police officers to go and do this, or otherwise?
But
This
it's
is
with a particular community also.
This is a community. It's a community facility. I would say.
Yeah.
It benefits kind of everybody, and I believe that we have lost the sense of community to a large extent, and we tend to depend on the state system to do almost everything for us. We have to go past that. That bus stop should not be one. The authorities should have removed it already. And those people from community who are moving around should have gotten together. I mean, if you call...
But there are community organizations.
There are community organizations, there are groups. NADMA as well, they do have district groups and coordinators. They do have chainsaws around. Ministry of Agriculture and other places and forestry, they have chainsaws around. And there are individuals in those communities who have chainsaws. Why 2 months later, this facility should be like that? It is unacceptable. It should never happen. Yeah. And I think it is really reflecting a lot on us, not so much on the authority that has a sole responsibility, but it speaks of the entire country as to how our sense of responsibility and community reflect what we do. This should never be there. It poses a risk to the people that have to come out from Bylands and Windsor and Lower Balthazar and Lafos area, that this has to be like this in this condition. There's another one I'm going to show on the other program. Mm-hmm. And I think as we move around and we highlight these issues, we're not just being observant or otherwise, but it is a caring issue.
You're not just complaining for complaining's sake.
And it's not even a complaint. Yeah. It's an observation, and it's something that I am throwing right back at us, that we should take some sense of rebuke, that we should be more responsible to get this done. As we move around, and we spoke again every time about the Grand Tank issue, and we commend the effort that is going on there. Maybe we need a few more Eric Gary people to, not GLP, but the kind of an initiative where we say, let us make Grenada pretty again.
Yeah.
The banks are removed, the land is terraced or otherwise. Why can't we plant some flowers throughout, along the roadsides, and through the rainforest? It is so designed to accommodate the kinds of flora and fauna and all of that. Have the animals and those creatures up there to feel welcome, and then have the aesthetics increase by putting flowers along our roadsides.
But do you think that mindset is present in our course?
It is critical. Mindset is critical, and we need drivers of the process. We need to bring back that sense of community. In the past, little groups and organizations, Forage Club and other things, you would go around planting trees and flowers, etc. We need to bring that back. Yeah. It helps. It creates the environment. If you see flowers and you see things that make you comfortable, your whole psyche and the whole aspect of safety is generally created.
You know, only yesterday I was listening to a particular program, and I heard, of course, the host of the program making mention back in the day as relates to Carriacou. There was one of the, was it the governor or something, who had encouraged individual to go to Carriacou and plant a tree.
Oh, carry a tree to Carriacou.
Carry a tree to Carriacou.
I was in that era.
And
I think it was same in the Erigiri era when Carriacou was like a barren land. It was like just the arrowroot and corn and all of that out there, and there wasn't even a forestry department. And so the intent then was to generate the atmospheric condition by planting trees so that you can increase the rainfall. And they encourage people carry a tree to Carriacou. So as you go, you bring a tree and plant. And we've seen the benefit.
And we see the benefit of Carriacou today.
Carriacou has an agricultural division. They have forestry and they have greenery, and it's beautiful. And I want to be part of the new Carriacou as well.
All right. Mr. Beck, I think it's time we should start entertaining those calls. I know the phones have been going for a wee bit now. I know a lot of folks want to chime in. Let's entertain our first caller this morning. Caller, good morning, and you're live. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much for taking my call. 9:41. And I have been calling, well, this is the fourth time before you answer the phone. Now, I want to be respectable, sir. I support this initiative to the Point program. I've been listening to this program for a number of years. Now, I am here on a cell phone, and I'm prepared to waste some money on it to get a point across to you, sir. I've already said so earlier on in this year. Most of the people, or all of the people that comes on this program, the Grenadian people know all of them. And the Grenadian people are here willing to interact with these people. Now, you alone will spend 40, 50 minutes talking to the gentleman. And there are a number of people outside here who wish to interact and ask questions.
So I'm not getting your point, if I want to get it. We already set a segment from when we were going to introduce calls, so I'm not sure where you're going with this.
Yeah, because you see, the problem is you wouldn't get my point because you are selfish.
Sir, have yourself a good morning, and we wish you all the best. I don't understand the caller. He makes absolutely no sense. Have a good morning, sir. 435-2041. Let's entertain another caller.
Yeah.
This segment is not for people of your nature. Have a good morning. Let's take another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
To be a leader, you have to be smart. What I say again, but I won't comment to explain what I'm saying. Read between the lines. Now, as far as I'm concerned, some of these programs, as I already said, are very, very good. But there's wrong timing. Let me address Mr. McIntyre now. Mr. McIntyre seems to know a lot. And as he said, he has a tendency to believe. I didn't say he believe, that only way you could get physical exercising is perhaps if you are a policeman or in that particular field, or you are an athlete. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm of ripe old age, and I used to get a lot of physical education and by walking the land. Your back, your spine, all muscles bend. Even your brain has to function too, because you're learning about to plant across the contour, to plant towards the contour. You're learning mathematics. You're learning history about plants. So the best place, I think, is to try to see if we could get some of us, especially the youths, in the land, because you can see only old people like myself, and I wouldn't include Mr. McIntyre, because he's still verbally speaking, and I don't know if he usually exercise after being coming out from the force. Now, people has or must get exercising, because the blood would be flowing more into the brain, and they would be able to think. I wanted to say more clearly, but I'll only leave the word more clearly and say clearly. Now, this is what people don't understand. Every one of us want to be teachers, but yet, maybe we cannot teach. Every one of us want to educate people, but maybe we don't have the right method of approach. Thank you very much. It's time that we learn.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Have a good morning. 435-2041. You also have the option of calling in via the WhatsApp, 435-2041. We're going back to the phone line. Caller, good morning, and you're live.
Good morning, GT. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Let's hear from you.
Okay, I would like to know what happened with Channel 10 because I don't get in it.
Okay, well, I'm not sure for myself, and of course, I will talk to the engineers. Let me know what's going on with that. All right.
All right, then.
Okay, have a good morning. 435-2041, 435-2041, open line this morning on the program, folks. You have the option of calling. I did mention you can call in direct, 435-2041, or you can also call in via the WhatsApp. So, Mark, as we
continue on road safety in general, there are a few things as I speak to people around that we can take into consideration to generate some even temporary means. Somebody mentioned to me the bypass road as you come down Hubbard Blaze Street and you go onto Green Street.
Yes.
The hazard of that road and that steep bend that you have to make back onto Hubbard Blaze, there are quite a number of accidents occurring, people almost overturning in that area. And one of the recommendations somebody said to me is to reconsider making across the carnage a two-way temporary to alleviate that going through that area.
What's your take on that?
It is something that could be given some consideration. The implication for the taxi and the people dropping things off and on the carnage, that may have some implication. But if it's a temporary initiative, I think it's something worth considering. Yeah. The other contribution I had from, again, somebody in terms of road safety, I remember we were speaking about marking where the middle of the road really is, and somebody was suggesting if we can mark the main streets across Grenada, do a white strip to the middle of the road, we could have less accidents. I don't know how feasible, how workable that is. I know that solid white line does have its implication in terms of driving and the broken ones. But in terms of identifying where the middle of the road is, I don't know if we're going to be channeling people in the right direction to not use their own sense of judgment and channel them into all graphics and images and all of that, including the mirrors that we put up everywhere. And people now, they're not so very alert, but they tend to want to just look at a mirror to get a sense of direction. And that impacts on other things as to whether or not we should channel people in that direction. These are some trends of thoughts. And the other one, somebody mentioned to me, is that Tempe Road from higher up Laborie all the way through Montparnasse, the inconvenience with the schools, the drop-off of schools, the volume of traffic that comes through that street. People are suggesting that maybe the police should have a presence greater on that street. There are about 3 or 4 schools in that area, and people are slowly dropping. They want to go all the way in, and one consideration whether or not the school can provide some wardens to come closer to the roadside and meet the children and take them in, direct them in, and the traffic continue, or whether people should try to drop them off. But it's one of the areas that impacts even going up the lane with that volume of traffic. Yeah. And I think it requires some consideration. It impacts on even the safety on the road. One road user last week had an incident because of that build-up of traffic, the vehicles bumping bumper to bumper into each other, those minor accidents. All right. And it's one thing I think that we need to give to some consideration.
We do have a caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome and you're live.
Yes, good morning to you, GT. How are you today?
Doing pretty well.
Right, good morning to Mr. McIntyre. Hats up to you, sir. You know, I don't know who's going to emulate you on the price for emulation. Trust me. I like your initiative of the beautification around the country. It's one thing we should do a long, long time ago. But however, we can't, as you observe, we cannot find interested person within the community because there's a breakdown, there's a social breakdown. So we prefer to quarrel with one another and we come together to do those things. It's a hard sell. I am involved in those things, but I tell you, it's very hard to get people to team up with you to do those things. One thing I want to bring to your attention, as you said, exercise, which will stimulate the brain and to strengthen up the legs. Yes, I discovered that people jog very early in the morning, 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock, they're jogging. But there is a big problem, which I think emerged, which is the dogs, stray dogs, and dog filth. If you're jogging in this early morning, it's very difficult to see these things on the side of the road. And people find themselves dabbling into those things. I think the ministry should actually once again send us an appeal to the people who have the stray dog to have it tied and to ensure that we don't have this filth in the street, because it's not easy. It's not nice to have to sort of play in those things and then you have to take it back to the house where you could bring germs to the house. So I thought of bringing this to your attention, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, as well.
Well, that's something to look forward to.
Yes, yeah, good.
Let's entertain another caller via the WhatsApp. Caller via WhatsApp, good morning, you're welcome.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Telesford, and good morning, Mr. McIntyre.
Sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, Mr. McIntyre, you're stressing a lot for exercising and things of that, which is very important, very good. But I stress on the safety factor, and we have to go way beyond just getting up and exercise. One, I think you should touch a little on the proper attire when people exercising, especially when outside will be.
I guess
think that's where he's
we
going.
have lost the quality a little bit, but let's
Yeah.
That they should have some fluorescent highlighted color in the back so that they can be seen easily while exercising. And apart from that, the road construction, box drain. Sometimes there is no room for you to step on the side with an oncoming vehicle. You will fall over in the drain. Why can't we look at the construction of this drain, the slipper drain? So you could have a little place you could step into. But when you have this box drain, you're exercising. People on the road, if they have to step in, sometimes they fall over in this box drain. So it's a holistic thing. Road construction, Ministry of Health, the motoring division, and everything must work together, a cohesiveness. And I think we'll reach a far way. People are walking to this jointed in this country if we need to make progress. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Thank you, caller. Thank you so
Wonderful
much.
contribution.
I understand where the caller is coming from. Eh?
Yeah.
But sometimes in the nature of our conversation, we're talking about road safety in general.
Yes.
In terms of people driving along the roads and stuff, and as a regular driver and road users.
Yeah.
Maintaining a healthy factor in terms of like that. I think that's the direction we were sort of going.
Yes, of course.
And I understand the color folks using the walking and the reflection and stuff. That is important also.
Yes.
But in the context of how we were speaking this morning, it's slightly different.
Different, yeah.
It's slightly different.
What I want to take from him too, though, he gave me a greater idea, something I bubbled with in the past. As we redevelop our roadways and so forth, we have to go past the ideas of the persons who built before. We give them the time, but it has outlived that we did not create more walking spaces around our streets. Yeah. And sidewalks are things in the creation and in the redevelopment of areas. And sidewalks is not just for our cities and so forth, but there are places across Grenada. If we want to encourage people, not just in our playing fields or otherwise, people just need to be the environment. Walking around and being able to heal somebody in itself therapeutic. Yeah. As he spoke about that as well, the reflective situation, maybe if we create the spaces where people can walk safely, you may not have to so much depend on reflectors. And I go all the way back to our rainforest that is so healthy. And I think in the new rainforest image, maybe we can consider having a walkway, a pedestrian walkway along the rainforest. You don't think that might be a good idea?
It's a good idea.
So that people could be off the main street itself and be comfortable enough to know that they're walking along a nice rail path. You're getting the fresh air as you go through. You're enjoying the environment, and you still don't have that deep concern too much of a vehicle bumping you off the road because you're off the road surface itself. And if we can recreate that, we would help people more. I think more people will be walking up to the rainforest area. The hills are there, the trees are great and everything else. The environment is very conducive. I think that would really impact positively on our health situation. Right. And we can even make it to the point where our medically challenged people in some ways, in those cleaner environment, we can take them up because the area is created and we can have those persons brought up. We can walk them through and give them some sense of nature and getting that clean sense of what nature itself offers.
All right. Caller, good morning. You're live.
Good morning. Let me just say I love the initiative of this program. But I just want to extend on something that was just said concerning the Montparnasse-Stempy Road. One of the main cause for the traffic that I've noticed, because I traverse that area every day, especially on morning, there's one car in particular that parks lower down. So when you get to that area, there's a problem for both lanes of traffic to pass. And another thing is where there's this individual who does chicken or so at the playing field. There's always a long line of traffic hamburging the normal flow of traffic. So I wish the authorities can look into that, especially on mornings when persons have to drop off their children and so forth and people trying to get to work. The parking on the side of the road, that is a major concern for the backup of the traffic. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. And this caller is so correct.
Absolutely good point.
Absolutely correct as relation to that.
And he support the point that we're making, that we need maybe our patrol cops to do some focus on that street, because it's a street that creates some congestion. And I remember earlier on we spoke about the Springs Road. That's closer between the Open Bible Church and Small Axe Bar. Yeah. There are some vehicles that park on the left side going towards Woodlands on mornings. And I believe that if those vehicles are removed, they can park during the course of the night. But between 6:30 and 8 o'clock or 8:39, they should be removed, because it slows that traffic coming from St. George, and it impacts those that are coming from the Woodlands area as they go up towards that supermarket. So that's a piece of road that we spoke about, and I know those drivers, apparently somebody told them and they used to be off it. But again, if it's not well policed, as the gentleman is saying, that area, people would, one vehicle not parked properly or otherwise, it really impedes a lot of the flow and the safety factor on the road.
Let's entertain another caller via WhatsApp. Good morning, you're welcome. Thanks for your patience. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. I want to talk about the sidewalks, because the sidewalks for people to be able to go and exercise are very important. When you look at the Monroe stretch, one side you have sidewalk, and the other side you don't have sidewalk. And what happened when the morning comes, because I walk that sidewalk, you're walking on the side that doesn't have a concrete side, and you have the vehicles, mainly the security vans, running through there as though they're on a highway. If the rain comes, you have to walk on the grass and the sidewalk. If the rain comes, you want to walk properly without slipping, you have to walk in the road. And the vehicles do not stop. They just run straight through there. If they had finished the sidewalk, going right around on the Monroe stretch, that would help a lot of people. When the morning comes, there's a lot of people walking that sidewalk, that area. We need to get that half of the sidewalk finished. This morning, I saw the PM walking that sidewalk, and I was surprised. He was walking. I hope he see that there's only one sidewalk that is finished and not the other sidewalk. And how smelly the drains are. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. We may be to entertain just one more caller this morning, and we take a wrap for today's program. Caller, good morning. You're welcome and you're live.
Hi, good morning, Mr. McIntyre, and good morning to GT. Mr. McIntyre, you mentioned about Uncle Gary and planting the flowers, and it's very good, but life and death lie in the tongue. This administration, I see the planting, I see the cleaning, the brightening up the sidewalk. But you will hear people say that is only that they're doing. So, like the people that interested in doing it now, they're breaking the moral. Like if they ain't doing nothing at all, and that's kind of cramping the style and getting more people. Because like people don't appreciate the beautify of the country, planting the flowers, keeping the place clean. So I wish they could have, praise those who doing it a little more, so more people will get into the vibes and try to clean up the community, clean up Grenada as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. We have one more, Mr. McIntyre. Let's take this one. Will be our final one. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning, and be brief, please.
Hey, good morning, GT. Mr. McIntyre, a quick question. I know you is a guy big on safety, and I know you travel to the diaspora, and we have like school crossing guard. These are people that work basically, like we say, like in the USA with the NYPD. Okay, do we have any like the school guard, crossing guard in Grenada? And do you think that we should have like a traffic light? A traffic light by every school, and also, on the pole of the traffic light, they usually have a button that when a pedestrian or student want to cross, they will press that button and then it will give them maybe about half a minute to cross the street. Do you think we need this in Grenada, especially you, as I say, who big on safety?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, caller. Have a good morning.
I think we just need more of it because we do have some of it already instituted.
Yeah.
We do have guards in some of the schools. I traveled by the Motherwell School this morning, and there were some guards helping children cross the street. In terms of the lighting, we spoke about the school zones. In terms of lighting, could be an enhancement like the hazard lighting in those areas, and to have bigger signs, more signs, say in school zones, and emphasize the safety measures. And those lights, those buttons for the street lights for crossings, we know some of them, they are installed. I'm not too sure all are working, but we need to have them, thank you, caller, more across country.
All right. Anything in closing, Mr. Mack, on that?
We just want to encourage people, again, to be fair and to be honest to ourselves, and to know that, as somebody said, there's a lot of power in the tongue. And so the people who contribute to our country must show the recognition to them. And we think that the information given may not just have individual implication. It has implication for the profession, and it has negative implication for our country when we speak and broadcast the negative thing without the fact base.
All right.
I just want to encourage people to be safe generally and think of others, and let us regenerate a sense of community and take responsibility, brighten the corners where we are, and make the areas safer where we function.
All right. Hey, folks, that's where we say goodbye for this edition of To The Point for today, Monday the 16th. Join me again tomorrow, once the Almighty permits, for another edition. That will we say goodbye, folks. Goodbye.